The more fiercely you crave something, the further it appears to drift away. Desire generates motion, but most often it is motion in the opposite direction. You stretch out with eager hands to seize what you long for. And much like trying to clutch water, the tighter you press, the quicker it slips through your grasp. This isn't defeat. It is science wrapped beneath layers of forgotten understanding. You were conditioned to desire, to plead, to dream, to pour all your energy into wanting. But what if the act of asking is precisely what prevents the receiving? This paradox disturbs the intellect because it breaks the most familiar pattern of how humans have been trained to perceive manifestation. From early childhood, you are told to wish, to yearn, to anticipate. Yet all these emotions share the same frequency: lack. When you desire, you affirm that it is not yet yours. When you hope, you recognize the void. When you wait, you declare that fulfillment exists only somewhere ahead, not now. The field, the quantum space that reacts to vibration, doesn't interpret language. It interprets states of existence. Thus, without noticing, countless people resonate with emptiness while believing they are summoning prosperity. This insight forms the first fracture in the traditional belief system. If longing doesn't draw it nearer, then what does? The mind hunts for a solution, craving closure, because the narrative feels unfinished. And that is precisely the gateway to deeper realization. Ancient sages murmured it. Modern science subtly reveals it. Manifestation is not about wanting but becoming. Neville Goddard never said, "Wish you are." He said to assume the feeling of the wish accomplished. The distinction is immense. Wishing keeps you separate. Assuming turns you into the origin. The quantum field doesn't collapse when you request, but when you perceive from within the condition of already having. Picture yourself before a mirror. You smile, and instantly the reflection smiles back. There's no need to plead for the mirror to move. You don't whisper prayers that someday it might reflect happiness. The reflection has no will of its own. It mirrors the energy you bring toward it. The universe functions exactly the same way. It is not a machine dispensing rewards for your tokens of desire. It is a reflection responding to your state of consciousness. The God state is not some distant mysticism. It is the most personal truth there is. It is the point where you cease grasping and instead embody the frequency of what you wish to attract. But here lies the hidden trap that almost everyone overlooks. Many people hear this teaching and attempt to pretend until it manifests. They repeat affirmations while doubt still pulses in their hearts. They imagine, yet secretly count what's missing. That's why so many experience frustration. They're told they've done everything right, but nothing shifts. The truth, however, is both sharper and more freeing. The universe never misfires. It doesn't fail you, it reflects you. When you emit uncertainty, you witness delay. When you vibrate need, you witness emptiness. The mirror always tells the truth. So the real question becomes, how do you truly enter this state, the so-called God state, without deceiving yourself? How can you embody when every fiber of you aches with lack? The answer lies not in speech but in rhythm. Your body holds a code far older than thought, far deeper than imagination. That code is the breath. Because breath is the only function that is both involuntary and intentional. It forms the bridge between visible and invisible realms, between subconscious patterns and conscious direction. To transform the field, you must first transform the breath. But wait, before uncovering how breath can shape reality, we must see why it has always been regarded as sacred in spiritual teachings and why modern science now validates its hidden influence. From yogic pranayama to the Christian ruach to the Hebrew word for spirit, breath has eternally represented life force. Today, neuroscience reveals that controlled breathing recalibrates the nervous system, synchronizes the heart, and reshapes brainwave rhythms. The mystics spoke of spirit. Scientists speak of vibration. Both are describing the same phenomenon. The breath is not merely air, it is life made tangible. And here rests the missing link that turns paradox into revelation. You cannot want yourself into manifestation, but you can breathe yourself into embodiment. The paradox dissolves once you realize manifestation was never about begging the mirror to shift. It has always been about becoming the motion itself. Each inhale collapses infinite potential into presence. Each exhale releases resistance, letting go of the clinging that imprisons you. Within that rhythm, the impossible transforms into certainty. What most overlook is that the breath never deceives. You may chant affirmations while your lungs tighten with fear. You may visualize while your breathing stays shallow, echoing survival. Yet the instant you change your breath, you alter your entire state. And when your internal state shifts, the entire field shifts with it. This is the point where the puzzle finally begins to reveal its outline. The God state isn't about commanding the universe, but about becoming so harmonized within that existence itself must reflect your completeness. Yet, the deeper secret of how breath allows entry into this state remains veiled. At the core of quantum science lies one of the most startling revelations ever uncovered. Reality does not exist in a permanent form until it is perceived. Werner Heisenberg called it the uncertainty principle. Particles exist as clouds of probabilities, hovering in countless possible states simultaneously. Only through observation does the wave collapse, giving birth to a single version of reality. In essence, nothing takes shape until awareness chooses it. This isn't just a sterile law for scientists. It is the framework of how your life manifests moment to moment. Yet very few apply this understanding to the art of manifestation. And here, the true secret begins to surface. The genuine observer effect isn't your physical eyes gazing at the world, it is the consciousness you inhabit while seeing. You can glance at your finances through the lens of scarcity, and reality will condense into more scarcity. You can perceive your relationships from a sense of unworthiness, and existence will echo that rejection. The universe isn't punishing you, it's mirroring the signal from which you observe. This is where Neville Goddard's wisdom intersects with Heisenberg's physics. Neville urged that one must embody the feeling of the wish already fulfilled, not as poetic philosophy, but because the quantum field requires coherence between the observer and the observed. This is the core of the God state's enigma. The God state is not a faraway mystical dimension, but the synchronization where your inner frequency is identical to the outer experience you long for. When you reach that alignment, there is no distance between you and what you desire. It already exists. And here lies the astounding realization from quantum mechanics. Reality is already present as a wave of probability. The only missing component is collapse, and collapse is triggered by state, not desire. This is why wishing alone falters. Desire keeps you outside, watching the field of potential but never transforming it into tangible form. You become like a researcher endlessly observing possibilities without stepping in to engage. Embodiment, however, turns you into the activator. The cosmos is not responding to your words, vision boards, or rehearsed affirmations. It responds to resonance. Just as a tuning fork hums when near another vibrating at the same pitch, the quantum field folds into alignment with the frequency you sustain. The God state carries the vibration of certainty, of wholeness, of already being. Modern science confirms something deeply profound. Coherence is the evidence that the body is aligned with the field. Heart rate variability research shows that when heart and brain move into harmony, their electromagnetic field expands and strengthens. This is not mysticism. It is measurable truth. In moments of profound meditation, gratitude, or love, the body transforms into a transmitter of coherence. The ancient mystics named this the divine union. Modern physicists label it coherence. Both are describing the same portal. The God state is a tangible shift where the inner observer and the outer field of probability synchronize in perfect balance. But here lies the question that still feels unresolved. How do you move from the noise of daily thought into this state of coherence? Most people attempt to think their way into alignment, yet thought is too restless, too fragmented. The mind alone cannot stabilize frequency. It drifts endlessly between memories and expectations, between wanting and doubting. This is why Neville emphasized feeling overthinking, and why science affirms that the body, not the intellect, holds the key. When the body enters coherence, the wave collapses precisely. The observer ceases to be divided. The God state does not arise through struggle, but through resonance. Now pause and reflect on what that means. If the collapse of reality depends on your state, then every experience of your life is simply evidence of what you have been embodying. Every so-called failure to manifest is not failure at all, it is perfect physics unfolding. The field is brutally honest, mirroring exactly who you are being. And within that honesty lies freedom, because it shows that power was never outside of you. It was never about earning the universe's approval, it has always been about coherence. The God state is merely the condition in which nothing within you resists the outcome you desire. You are no longer a petitioner knocking on reality's door, you are the door itself. This leaves one haunting question echoing in your mind. If thought cannot unlock the God state and desire keeps you trapped beyond it, then what becomes the practical entry point to coherence? The answer has been hidden in plain sight since the first breath you ever took, the rhythm of breathing itself. Every inhale and every exhale is a rehearsal for collapse, a living chance to align observer and observed. But how? How can something as simple as breath become the instrument that opens the door to the God state? That is the secret about to unfold. Stay with this thread because the missing piece of the puzzle is coming into view. Since your very first moment on Earth, breath has been the unseen rhythm guiding your existence. It bridges the subconscious and the conscious, the automatic and the deliberate. You breathe without effort, yet you can also control that same breath with full intention. This dual nature isn't random, it's the blueprint of a key placed within you. A key that unlocks the threshold between survival and creation, between possibility and manifestation. And most people pass through life breathing mechanically, unaware they already possess the mechanism capable of transforming their entire reality. Science now validates what ancient mystics perceived long before the language of neurons or quantum theory existed. Research on breath reveals that the way you inhale and exhale directly regulates the autonomic nervous system. Slow, intentional breathing activates the parasympathetic response, soothing the body, lowering cortisol, and cultivating a state of coherence where heart and brain move in harmony. From this state, brain waves decelerate, perception widens, and the heart's electromagnetic field becomes structured and powerful. This is not philosophy. It is observable physics. And yet what mystics once called spirit, prana, or chi all point toward the same underlying phenomenon. Breath alters the vibration of the body, and that vibration instructs the quantum field. But why does breathing possess such extraordinary influence in the art of manifestation? The answer rests in rhythm. Inhalation represents expansion, exhalation symbolizes release. Together they form life's oldest and most sacred pattern, receiving and surrendering. Every breath in is a miniature version of potential collapsing into matter, pulling the unseen into form. Every breath out is a release, the dissolving of tension and control. When you breathe with awareness, you are mimicking the very mechanics of the quantum field itself. Potential transforming into actuality, then melting once again into possibility. Unconsciously, every breath you take mirrors the behavior of the wave function. This is why nearly every mystical path placed its highest practice around breath. Yogis crafted pranayama not simply for calmness but to govern states of awareness. Monks chanted sacred syllables with each inhale and exhale, fusing breath with vibration. Even the Latin word spiritus, meaning both breath and life force, carries this truth. Across civilizations, breath has always marked the signature of true presence. And within manifestation, presence is the currency that collapses reality. Because when you are truly present, no longer scattered between yesterday's regrets and tomorrow's fears, you dwell within the God state, whole, unified, coherent. Yet here lies the fragment most people overlook. Breathing alone is not sufficient. You already breathe endlessly and still you may feel emptiness, impatience, or lack. The difference lies in how you breathe and what energy you anchor into that rhythm. Shallow breathing keeps you locked in survival mode. It signals the body to stay alert, the mind to anticipate loss, and the energy field to radiate disorder. Conscious breathing, on the other hand, reverses that signal. It tells every cell you are safe, complete, and aligned. And because the field always mirrors state, that message begins reshaping physical reality. The missing element is not that breath matters, it's how you transform breath into a sacred act of embodiment. Picture this. You close your eyes and with every inhale, you are not merely drawing air into your lungs, you are pulling in the vibration of I am. Not I want, not I will become, but the pure essence of being. Each exhale becomes a release of resistance, a soft dissolution of doubt, a letting go of control over how or when. In that steady rhythm, your body recalibrates, your mind quiets, your energetic field reorganizes, and suddenly you are no longer begging reality to shift. You are the shift itself. And the mirror of existence cannot resist. It reflects immediately. This is the true role of breath. It collapses external reality by collapsing you into coherence. Scientists would describe this by saying that breathing patterns reshape brainwave activity, leading you into theta and gamma states where new neural connections emerge. Mystics would express it differently, that conscious breath opens the passage to the divine. Both perspectives describe the same event. You become the empowered observer, not the one trapped in yearning. Breath is not mere oxygen flowing through the body, it is frequency made tangible. Each breathing cycle becomes a living affirmation, I am. And within those two silent words, spoken through rhythm, the wave function bends. Still, one question lingers softly in the mind. If breath carries such transformative force, how should it be practiced to anchor the God state? Random deep breaths are not enough. The secret lies in ritual, a deliberate pattern that unites inhale and exhale with the vibration of identity. This is the ancient technique hidden in plain sight. The ritual that has been murmured through centuries yet rarely unveiled in its true quantum depth. And that is what awaits in the next step, the I am breathing ritual. a practice that transforms air into alignment, vibration into embodiment, and embodiment into manifestation. Stay close, for this is where the unfinished puzzle finally locks into place. Until now, we've uncovered the paradox of desire, explored the mechanics of quantum collapse, and exposed the hidden intelligence of breath. But knowledge without practice is only potential, like gazing at the blueprint of a house yet never stepping inside. The God state is not a concept to admire, it is a frequency to live. And the gateway into that embodiment is a ritual so simple, most never recognize its power, the I am breathing technique. A discipline that fuses the science of coherence with the spirituality of being, merging the observer and the observed into oneness. To begin, understand that this practice is not about forcing the mind to believe what it secretly questions. It is about bypassing thought entirely and embedding truth directly into the body. The breath becomes the carrier, and the words I am become the key. With each inhale, you are not merely drawing in oxygen, you are drawing in identity itself. With each exhale, you are not just expelling air, you are releasing resistance. The rhythm becomes a silent command that echoes into the quantum field. I am. Not I wish, not I will be, not someday. Only I am. Here's how the ritual unfolds. Find a still place where you can sit or lie without distraction. Close your eyes. As you slowly inhale through your nose, imagine drawing the entire field of infinite potential into your being. Let the breath widen your chest, expand your ribs, and fill your belly, as if creation itself is being invited inward. At the very top of the inhale, pause softly and, in your mind, declare the word I. This is not merely a sound, it is the recognition of awareness, of existence, of being the witness. Then, as you exhale through your mouth in a long, smooth release, whisper within yourself am. This is completion, embodiment, the realization that what you seek already lives within. Inhale identity. Exhale embodiment. Repeat the rhythm. Inhale I, exhale am. Gradually, the words dissolve into vibration. They move beyond language, resonating through your nervous system, humming in your cells. Each breath reorganizes the energetic field around you, drawing potential into form, aligning you with the frequency of fulfillment. Within minutes, you'll sense a shift, not in thought but in state. The edges of lack fade away. The body softens. The mirror of existence begins to reflect a new pattern. This is not imagination. This is coherence. You are no longer attempting to persuade reality to change. You are the change itself. What gives this ritual its power is its exactness, the precision through which breath, identity, and frequency converge into one seamless act of creation. It merges breath, which transforms physiology, with identity, which transforms vibration. Together, they dissolve the gap between who you think you are and who you actually are. Neville Goddard taught that the true key to manifestation lies in assuming the wish fulfilled. This ritual turns that assumption into sensation. It isn't about acting as if through effort. It's about breathing as if, being as if, vibrating as if. The frequency of I am leaves no room for longing to linger. The God state is not something to be created, it is uncovered by peeling away the illusions of lack, one breath at a time. Now arrives the moment of participation. As these words reach you, let the ritual extend beyond the video and into your lived experience. Grounded now. Let your declaration ripple beyond silence and into connection. Write in the comments, I am. If you're ready to stop wishing and start resonating, this is no longer an exercise, it's a shared embodiment. Each comment becomes an amplified vibration, a wave through the collective field of all who encounter it. Within that shared resonance, the God state moves from theory into embodiment, from individual awakening to collective coherence. The power of this ritual isn't measured by duration but by depth, by how sincerely you let it permeate your being. Even 3 minutes of aligned I am breathing can reset your frequency, dissolve the static of doubt, and tune you into fulfillment. Yet, the longer you remain in rhythm, the more your body learns it as its natural state. Over time, you stop doing the ritual, you become it. Breath transforms into a subconscious declaration of being, and the universe, perfectly precise as ever, mirrors it instantly. But still, there lies a deeper layer ahead. Breath initiates alignment. Identity anchors it. Yet what about the cycles of frustration that keep dragging you back into scarcity? How do you dismantle the old loops that recycle disappointment and generate resistance? That is the next threshold in this path. Because once you've touched the God state, the true mastery lies in sustaining it when the world challenges you. And to hold it, you must recognize the hidden loop and break it permanently. If you've ever repeated affirmations, visualized endlessly, or pleaded with the universe for a sign, you know the sting of nothing changing. That weight, that quiet ache, is not failure. It is the evidence of repetition. The loop is simple yet ruthless. You desire, you act, you wait, and you notice nothing happens. So you desire more, act harder, wait longer, and the silence only deepens. This is the snare of manifesting from wanting instead of being. Once you see it clearly, you can never unsee it. The loop of frustration exists because lack disguises itself as effort. Most people assume that pushing harder brings them closer. But in quantum truth, effort without harmony only amplifies chaos. The signal you emit when you plead, force, or strain is the signal of separation. The field mirrors separation, not intention. This is why so many spend years applying the law of attraction and still remain stuck. They are transmitting from disharmony, hoping the universe will overlook the interference. But the universe never malfunctions, it reflects only coherence. And here lies the interruption to the pattern. Your perceived failures are not proof that manifestation is broken. They are proof that it functions with absolute accuracy. Every so-called failure perfectly echoed the vibration you were embodying. That is not judgment, it is precision. This realization stings at first because it places the power squarely back in your hands. Yet beneath the sting lies liberation. Because if you are the architect of the pattern, you also possess the power to dissolve it. So how is the cycle truly broken? Not through greater effort. Not by piling on new rituals or collecting endless methods. The cycle dissolves the moment you shift your identity from lack to embodiment, when you begin living the frequency instead of chasing the outcome. This is where the radio metaphor becomes illuminating. A radio doesn't plead for its favorite song. It doesn't beg for transmission. It simply aligns to the correct frequency, and the song plays. You are the same receiver. The God state is that frequency. Frustration only emerges when you keep tuning into doubt and scarcity while demanding the universe broadcast abundance. The instant you tune accurately, the melody flows effortlessly. Science affirms this truth. Studies on heart-brain coherence show that frustration sends disordered signals, jagged, erratic patterns through the electromagnetic field of your body. This distortion scrambles the dialogue between your inner biology and the quantum field surrounding you. Gratitude, presence, and alignment with identity, on the other hand, produce smooth rhythms, synchronized frequencies that project clarity outward. The universe does not oppose you. It simply reflects the coherence or chaos you emit. Which means frustration is not failure's end, it's feedback. It's a diagnostic signal revealing where incoherence has taken hold. And here's the most freeing twist. Even your lowest moments were sacred rehearsals. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment was proof that the field listens with flawless accuracy. The teaching was always there, hiding in plain sight. The God state doesn't ask you to erase your past or reject your struggles. It invites you to reinterpret them. What if your failures were not evidence of weakness but of power? Proof that you were always collapsing reality only from the wrong vibration. In that instant, frustration alchemizes into guidance, into awareness, into potential. Yet this understanding raises one final question. If the God state is always available, why do so many find it fleeting? Why does it slip through the fingers like sand, held for a moment then gone? The answer is simple. Most still treat the God state as a destination instead of a dwelling. They keep reaching, grasping, and waiting, and in doing so they fall back into the frequency of lack. Breaking the loop requires ceasing to visit embodiment and beginning to be it. You don't travel to the God state, you exist there. And that truth leads to the ultimate revelation. Because if the God state isn't something to reach but to inhabit, then the real mastery lies in staying there, unwavering, even when life tests your frequency. That is the closing key, the invitation to a reality where manifestation is no longer an occurrence but a constant rhythm. Stay here because what follows is the vision of living within the God state, where each breath, each thought, and every step carries the vibration of I am. The God state is not a fleeting peak, it is a permanent presence. It is not a fleeting high reached in meditation only to vanish when life turns chaotic. It is a lasting identity, a state of consciousness that surpasses all circumstances. To dwell in the God state means you stop bargaining with reality, stop waiting for evidence before believing. You no longer drift in and out of alignment depending on outcomes around you. It is standing firmly in the knowing that what you seek is already yours. That the field is never withholding, it is always mirroring. That creation answers to who you are, not what you ask for. Living from this space requires a transformation in self-perception. Most people define themselves by what happens to them, the career they hold, the wealth they gather, the connections they maintain. But results are only echoes, delayed reflections of previous states. In the God state, the sequence reverses. You no longer wait for the mirror to smile before you do. You embody first and the reflection follows. You breathe coherence. You move with coherence. You speak coherence. And soon your entire existence becomes a reflection too luminous to overlook. Here, mysticism and science finally meet. The mystics call it surrender. The scientists name it resonance. The language differs, but the essence remains the same. Sustained coherence rewires your biology and your destiny alike. Neural patterns reform. The heart emits stability, and the field surrounding your body becomes a radiant signal of completion. The quantum realm, impeccably precise as ever, echoes that signal back. The God state ceases to be a practice. It becomes your identity. But permanence is not the same as perfection. Obstacles still appear. Life still shifts. The world continues to test your balance. The difference is that within the God state, circumstances no longer throw you out of harmony. You respond from embodiment rather than reaction. The breath becomes your anchor. Awareness becomes your ground. You may sway, but you never fall back into scarcity. You stay attuned to the frequency of I am, and the melody of existence continues to play in synchrony with you. This is why every phase of this path has meaning. The paradox of desire revealed why longing fails. Quantum understanding exposed the observer's influence. Breath disclosed the hidden mechanism. The I am ritual offered the doorway. Breaking the loop of frustration opened the freedom to choose anew. And now the vision stands unveiled. You were never designed to chase outcomes. You were created to embody the God state. Not once, not sporadically, but as your natural rhythm of being. So the invitation is simple: begin now. Each inhale, each exhale, each silent I am is no longer a performance but a lived reality. When coherence is lived, coherence is returned. When you embody fulfillment, the mirror of creation aligns instantly. You are no longer knocking on the threshold. You are the threshold. And as more awaken into this vibration, the ripple transcends individuality. It becomes a movement, a resonance, a collective embodiment of the divine frequency. To continue walking this path and anchor the experience into your daily existence, I've created something for you, the ebook Awaken Your Quantum Power, along with a hands-on companion guide to lead you step by step. Inside, you'll discover the methods to weave coherence into every part of your life, transforming insight into embodiment. The link is in the pinned comment below. Explore it, breathe with it, live it. Because the God state is not a secret to visit, it is your birthright to inhabit. And the instant you claim it, not with speech or hope, but through being, everything transforms. Not tomorrow. No.